And now, to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Dude, I'm wearing all black and just.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
Happy Devils Sunday. Broadcasting live with the neighbor downstairs that needs to go to work tomorrow. So I can't talk that loud.
Brew free or die. Blood Orange IPA. Delicious.
So what's in your fridge? What's in your fridge? Show that beer again.
This is, and we don't get sponsored by them, but we should get sponsored by a beer company soon. Blood Orange IPA. It's
really?
Fantastic.
Really?
Gets me in the mood to talk about the season that the Devils have been having. I have some Sam 76.
Oh, I think Beer Baron, we lost connection with Beer Baron. Am I the only one on air? I think I am. Well then. Well, this is kind of embarrassing. I think we lost Beer Baron. Well, everybody on Facebook Live, I'm seeing all the comments. Rob Klaboses, what's up, gentlemen? Joe Stenzelau, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I never know. He goes, woo! Yeah, Michael Viola sounds delicious. Of course it sounds delicious. But somehow Beer Baron is now frozen. He's frozen in time because he's still pissed that Mikey McLeod has... Oh, you're back.
I'm back.
I was stalling, dude. I was totally stalling.
I had to rage quit. I got so upset. I heard you were about to mention Mikey McLeod. I got really upset. You don't mention my boy like that. He will score before the season ends. All right. He'll put one in.
All right. This is the
Santa
Let's Go
Claus.
Devils podcast, season 2, episode 30, titled Your New Jersey Devils. Tonight's guest is Kevin Clark, Devils PA announcer, telling his feelings about this season. Going to talk about the Mikey Strong thing that they did last Friday, how the event went. You can watch us on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Let's Go Devils podcast. Also, you can find us on Twitter and Periscope at Let's Go Devils pod. Again, it's at Let's Go Devils pod. You can find us on our YouTube channel on youtube.com. The channel is Let's Go Devils. You can also find us on Twitch. Is it Twitch? Yeah, it's Twitch. Let's Go Devils podcast. We're streaming live on letsgodevils.com. You can find our podcasts all over the place right now. We're finding new places to put our podcasts. Am I doing a pretty good job of stalling?
Yeah, dude. I mean, everything's up and running, so I don't know if you have to stall anymore, but it's
Beer Baron has now cut out again. He is now frozen in time. If you see the Facebook Live, you see how frozen Beer Baron is. We just lost his feed. I'm going solo. Sam Woo's going solo. It's like the good old days when I used to do this podcast solo. Oh, he's back. What's going on, Beer Baron? Oh, he's frozen in time again. Oh, we lost Beer Baron. Well, guys and girls, welcome to the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 2, episode 30. We're going to ask Kevin Clark a lot of questions, his thoughts firsthand, being the PA announcer, just watching what's going on the ice. Devils won the other night, last night, in a shootout. Mackenzie Blackwood, he is the star of the New Jersey Devils. But are you really excited that they're winning? Or are you really wanting them to tank? Wow. I just got a message from Beer Baron. His studio just turned off. All right. Well, hey. Now that he's frozen right now, maybe we should talk a little bit of Mikey McLeod. Hey, look, right now there's several games left this season, 6 games left, I think, to be exact. Here are my thoughts. Just play the young kids. Play them. Get your evaluations going. End the season on a high note. You can't control the draft lottery. Just play to win and see where the chips lie. I know everybody wants, the big guy Hughes in the draft, but I also do know that we really, really, really have some pretty good prospects. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beer Baron, your feed is back. I was just BSing with the people that are listening live on Facebook Live right now.
Dude, I don't know what's going worse right now. My technical issues over here, the Devil season. Like, this is not a joke. This is frustrating.
Are you tanking this podcast right now? Are you just tanking it? Because I could tank it too.
Damn. I mean, honestly, this is one of those things that this just shows you what happens when we do this live, and we do it live every week. So it's kind of unpredictable in that sense. But I have no idea what you've been talking about. So
I was just BSing that. Look, you got 6 games left this season. This whole thing about tanking. Okay, I get it, but there's a reason why there's a kind of a draft lottery for the top 3 picks, so you don't tank. And everyone's playing for their jobs right now. And I think the Devils, what they need to do, and we were talking about Mikey McLeod, play all the young kids now. This get your evaluations before going to the draft. They've got a lot of draft picks in 2019. Ray Shero has a lot to prove. You see it in the Facebook groups right now. Fans are just not happy. When you're losing, everything gets magnified, whether it's season ticket issues or this issue, that issue, fans fighting fans, whatever. It always happens when you're losing. But let me tell you, winning does cure everything. Once you start winning, everybody's happy. It doesn't matter, you know.
Oh, yeah, you know, for sure. And I mean, one of the biggest issues that I feel like the team has been in a downward spiral, but, you know, people freaked out because Ray Shero said in an interview with Deb Placey recently that he was not disappointed in how the season went. And everybody was like, well, not everybody, but there's a good majority of people that were, you know, bugging out. They're like, how could you not be disappointed in how the season went? I feel like he explained himself well enough to kind of explain away why he wasn't disappointed. He's like, you know, disappointment has a couple different meanings for him. He said, you know, 15-16 was a complete disappointment. And this year, I don't know, due to the injuries and due to the goaltending situation in the beginning of the season, I guess he's able to chalk things up a little bit easier than it was a couple of years ago. But honestly, it's 6 games left. You know, you have 4 teams that are below you, essentially. You just see where the cards lay. I mean, at this point, a top 4 pick, this is a pretty decent draft. You know, we've talked about it before. We've had our buddy Jersey Joe on, and he kind of laid out some really good ideas of what the Devils could be doing. We had Nick Villano last week laying out a couple different ideas where the Devils could go in a draft. So it's not like it's a terrible thing for them to finish where they are, fourth from the bottom. And like you said, with the draft lottery, it's there for a reason. If all things go right, you know, who knows? They could win the draft lottery. And right now they have a 9.5 chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, a 9.6 chance to get number 2. So obviously, if you drop in the standings a little bit more, your chances will get a little bit higher. But I can imagine, I would love to pick some of their brains of the guys that are playing right now and just be like, how much do you just want the season to end? Like, how much, what part of you is saying, like, you know what, just let's go. Let's just get it over with. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, what do you feel like as a fan? Do you feel that, you know, in your heart where you're just kind of like watching some games and you're like, all right, just come on, boys. Like, let's just be done with it already.
Do you think that should be the question of the day?
In our
Facebook fan group? Let me type it up.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, because as a fan, I watch every single game. I listen to every single game. I try to get, I keep up on the team as, on an everyday basis. You know, I'm constantly reading stuff about the Devils. If I'm talking with my a couple of my friends, all we talk about is hockey. We talk about the Devils. If I'm talking to even my parents, most of the time it's like, how are the kids? Good. All right, let's talk hockey for like an hour. It's just like it consumes. It's true. It consumes my life, you know. And I don't know, dude. Like with 6 games remaining, it's just like, come on, get it over with. We have I think it's April 9th that they choose the draft lottery. So it's like, just be done. Just be done at this point. Get to the draft lottery, know where we're going to be drafting, and then we can turn the page on this season and look forward to the future. You know, start looking at some potential UFAs and start looking at potential draft picks and all these other things, and just shuffle on from the complete. I don't care what Ray Shero says; it's a complete disappointment. Even though we overshot our, we played way above our pay grade last year. Probably shouldn't even made the playoffs, but we did. And then we met, a real professional team in that first round.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Somebody asked earlier.
I'm gonna get Kevin Clark on right now. So I'm going to zoom in on you, Beer Baron, and I'm going to turn off my mic. Yeah, everybody gets to see the nice background you got.
Yeah, now I have 3 windows instead of the one. You know what's funny? Like we were talking about, just what could have everything that could have gone wrong this year. It seemed like it went wrong. There's a few people that were asking, do you have Taylor Hall play at least one of these last 6 games? And honestly, my opinion is no. You don't have him play any of those last 6 games. You just let him rest and let him come back next year fully healthy and hopefully with a contract extension. And some of these other guys that are kind of been banged up, like Kyle Palmieri, give him a break. You know, Sam said before, whatever I caught because I was gone, but Sam said before, you know, bring back some of these kids, bring them back up, give somebody that you haven't brought up yet a chance to come up and see if they can make, you know, any kind of noise in the last 6 games. But this should be right now, it should just be a dress rehearsal for some of the younger kids. Take some of the pressure off of Corey, take some of the pressure off of Mackenzie that, hey, if you lose, it's not about winning and losing right now. It's really about evaluations and about evaluating like what kind of talent that we have in the farm system and if they can hang at an NHL level. You know, there's kids, and I hate to say this, there's kids that are great down in the AHL, but when they come up to the NHL level, they seem to struggle. And yes, Micah McLeod being one of them, but also like John Quenneville. John Quenneville lights the lamp down in the AHL, comes up to the NHL, not so much. So, I mean, do you even think he will resign? Yeah, honestly, I do think he will resign because I don't think that this rebuild is going to take longer than we expect it to take. I feel like, you know, just he has a different role with this team. Like he was supposed to be the man in Edmonton, and obviously they were so terrible for so long and still are that they surrounded them with other first-round picks, and then it became how many roosters can he fit in a hen house? And to be honest with you, he's a perfect fit for this team. He can be a leader. He had like a nice. I got to jump around all over the place. First of all, I got to say hi to my Aunt Lily and my good old Jeffrey. How you doing, Papa Jeff? So, anyways, and my wife Nikki was watching for a second, and Scotty the body was watching us for a second. But anyways, it's saying give him props. But anyways, if you listen to the interview with Ray Shero and Dead Placey, Ray Shero says something very interesting about the re-signing of Taylor Hall, and it seems like everything is trending in the right direction. So, with all that said, I know you have somebody waiting.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do. On the Bobby's Auto Care hotline, we've got the infamous New Jersey Devils PA announcer, Kevin Clark. He is your New Jersey Devils PA announcer. Hey, Kevin, what's going on?
Very quiet Sunday night. After everything that's been going on the last few days, it's been a very hectic week. In the middle of, towards the end of 5 games in 7 days when you count the Mikey Strong game. So, been living at Prudential Center. So we, it's like feast or famine. We go from having 2 weeks with no games just about, and then, we jump right into it. But trying to enjoy it while we have it because they're going to, it's going to be gone and we're going to be like, hey, what happened? It's going to be a long summer, going to miss it. I'm not going to lie. It's good to get the break. I think you can tell a little bit my voice is struggling tonight, but it will be nice to get a little break. But after a few weeks, it's like, okay, ready to get going again. But it's going to be a long summer, and I love summer, but I'm going to miss my hockey. So especially after last year, which is as much fun as last season was, and as hectic and crazy as it was coming down the stretch, and then we got those 2 playoff games, and just kind of just enough to whet the appetite, and then the way this season kind of fell out from under us. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be a long summer. Not looking forward to that aspect of it, but hopefully we learned a lot this season, and we can get stronger at the draft. And some of these young guys got some good experience, and hopefully, that's all part of the process.
Wow. Before we get to the process, Kevin, how was the Mikey Strong game. It seems like each year, as it builds, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I watched, a couple clips on Facebook Live. There were a couple fans, particularly Betty, would put it on Facebook Live, and it looked like an NHL game out there.
I was kudos, first of all, to everybody who attended the game. We had a phenomenal turnout. I don't want to say shocked, but really surprised and pleasantly surprised at the number of people who came out. Huge number from last year. It seemed like the lower bowl was filled on both sides now, from goal line to goal line. And it was really great. I was really pleased with the turnout. People were into it. People were having fun. A lot of kids. It was great support. It was a lot of fun. Those games are always hectic for me. I'll give you the selfish side of it, because they tend to be not as organized as an NHL game, which I'm sure that comes as no surprise to you guys or to anyone listening. So it gets a little crazy, but you handle it, and remember, it's for a good cause, and we did a lot of good things that night, and the fans who showed up did a lot of good things by showing up and being loud, and just the atmosphere was just one of fun, and and honoring Mikey Nichols and helping out, and that's what it's all about, and that's what that night is all about, and I was really pleased with the number of people who were there.
Now, Kevin, this is Scott. I just want to ask you a question. You were saying that you can hear it in your voice, but your voice still sounds really good. How do you do so many games in such a short amount of time? And also, how do you keep the enthusiasm in a year where obviously, it hasn't gone the Devils' way, and we all know that you're a Devils fan as well. So how do you keep that enthusiasm, and how do you keep your voice in shape?
I don't do really anything particular for my voice. I drink a lot of water. And that's really about it. But I can tell it right now by talking to you guys. It's a little bit of a struggle, and my voice is a little tired. I can tell, but I'll be ready to go tomorrow. And as far as the enthusiasm, every game to me, it's hard to explain, but every game to me is different. Every game I've done for the Devils, every game is like obviously an individual game, but they're all their own separate entity to me. So when I go to the arena, I have specific things I need to do and specific things the production crew is trying to do. So I have that responsibility to be their voice of what they're trying to entertain the fans with. So I take that responsibility very strongly, and try to remember that. And then I don't like when the Devils lose. I don't care if the Devils are in first place or or in last place, or we're having a season like this. I don't want to lose. I hate losing. And you pointed me to this topic, and I'm going to vent a little bit here, but the whole tanking thing is an absolute abomination to me. I hate it. You don't lose in professional sports on purpose. I don't care what you get from it. And because when you start losing on purpose, that whole mindset will permeate the youngsters in particular. My opinion, I know I'm old towards that, but you don't lose on purpose. So every game to me, every goal that the Devils score is important, and every goal they give up, I detest. So that's how, to answer your question, that's how I maintain my enthusiasm, because, again, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, when the Devils score, I'm the biggest fan out there, and I'm the most excited of anybody in that building. And consequently, when they give up the goal, I'm just as mad as anybody else. So, keeping up my enthusiasm is never something I have to mentally tell myself, hey, Kev, you gotta, you gotta stay in the game here. You gotta stay focused. You gotta bring the energy. That never goes through my mind. It's always real. It's always what I have to do. It's always what I want to do, and it's all natural.
Kevin, I really don't know how you do it night in and night out. I mean, announcing the opposing team's goal, especially in a crucial moment of the game, must be really tough. Obviously, you're a professional and you do your job very well. But like deep down inside, like you're reading it. Don't you like? I don't know. If it were up to me, I'd probably put in a snarky comment in there or something. I know you would never do that, Kevin. But like, has there been times where something goes in your head and you just about to say it, but you don't?
Well, first of all, thank you for the kind word. Kind words. I appreciate that. No, I know I'm not going to say anything that would get me in trouble. That's the first thing I always remember when I'm doing the Devils announcing is don't do anything that's going to get you in trouble. So we go from that, and then we work our way back, and usually I can keep myself out of trouble. But if I never announced another visiting goal, I'd be okay with that. I mean, I couldn't care less. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I couldn't care less who scored. And you know what? I hear the fans, all announce a goal.
I think we lost Kevin there.
The league requires me to do it, so I have to do it. But, and part of your question was, has there ever been a goal or whatnot that really kind of got to me? And I'll give you two instances. It was Carolina, 2009.
Oh, yeah.
Game 7 in our building, obviously. Devils up by a goal with a minute and a half left. They gave up the tying goal.
I think we lost some feeds here.
Yeah, and then they gave up the goal with under a minute left to Carolina that won the series for them. And when they scored that go-ahead goal, I felt like I got kicked in the stomach. So I had to tell myself, I had to make myself do that announcement. And I usually don't have to do that. It's usually, this is my job, I got to do this. But when that happened, that really hurt. And I had to will myself to make that goal announcement. So that was those two, well, that one in particular, that last one, that was probably the hardest, goal. That's probably the hardest goal I've ever had to announce. You know what, though? The overtime winners for the Kings in 2012 were no piece of cake either. But the Carolina one, that was the most devastating.
Actually, sorry to interrupt, Beer Baron. I have a little story about that whole Carolina thing. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Devils actually had the lead with like a minute 43 or something like that left.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was game 7, first round. I remember. Okay, let's all head down to the MSG desk, meet up with Dano and all them, and we'll celebrate and this and that. And by the time we got there, the game was over and the Devils lost.
Yeah.
I remember.
What happened in the moment for me is that they scored to tie it, so that was bad enough. But then I'm on headset with my boss up in the control room, and we're talking about, okay, we're going to have this intermission. What do we want to tell people is open? What concession stand? We were planning on how we were going to do that when they scored the go-ahead goal, and we're just like, well, that just saved us a lot of planning and announcing, unfortunately.
So what's more disappointing when your season comes to an abrupt end, like in that circumstance, or when you're in a season where things aren't going well, like this season, where you kind of see the end is coming and you're like, well, you have that anticipation?
I think this scenario this year is tougher, only because after last season, which was so exciting, and then we come into this season and get to go to Sweden, and they start off so well. And I can remember sitting there in Sweden watching them play Edmonton and going, this team is incredible. They were so fast and just all over Edmonton. And I'm going, this is pretty amazing. This team has really got something going here. And then for all of a sudden to have happened what happened, was a shock to the system. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, and I'm not one in any of the sports that I follow or any of my teams to say to blame things on injuries because next man up mentality, correct? Well, I don't know about this year, boys. I tell you what, when you see the list, the MASH list, and you go like, this is just, you take these players and put them back for the entire season. I would have really liked our chances a lot more. And you know what? I think you saw that. When did we play? Yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
With me, we played yesterday, and we had those players back. You can list them. I'm not gonna, but you saw a marked improvement in the team just from those players coming back. And that's no knock against the kids who are there or the guys who are trying their best to fill their spot. But there's a reason they didn't start the season with the team. And there's a reason why they're with the team now. So you saw that Saturday when you got just, a few players back, the team played a lot better. And you know what? They played an Arizona team, granted not playing well right now, but this is a team that, going into it, was in a playoff spot. I think they're a point out now. Excuse me. That has played well up until the last 4 or 5 games. So it's not like, you were playing Ottawa. All right. That young man stood on his head and made some phenomenal saves yesterday. And then, but yeah, I mean, it was, after what we've been through the last few games, yesterday was a lot of fun. But yeah, to answer your question, this season has been harder than, an abrupt ending. It to me anyway.
Kevin, we had Steve Cangelosi on earlier in the year when when the Devils were 4-0 at that point, and we were. I know this sounds crazy, but we're talking about brotherhood. We're talking about Stanley Cup. We were really, really, really excited, about that. And then, as part of it is some of the injuries, but their defense was very leaky. Obviously, Corey Schneider coming back from that surgery, it took him a little bit of time to heal and get back in the groove. I really think that, I really think, and I want to get your opinion on it. I really think that the Devils needed to really take a couple steps back after taking about 4 or 5 steps forward from last season, where, we were saying on the podcast that they were really ahead of schedule on the rebuild. And I think this just really is a humbling reality that this is a rebuild, a complete teardown. And as much as I want to hear Ray Shiro on that Deb Placey podcast, do a couple F-bombs and this and that and get really mad, I think he almost expected this. I know, but I think he almost expected this. But at the same time, I think deep down inside, he really wants this team to overachieve. What are your thoughts, on my assessment, and what do you think? Do you think it's probably for the best that they take a couple steps back, even though it's painful?
Well, I'll let you know in a couple of years. I think myself, like everyone else, maybe not everyone else, you'd have to be a strong hockey person not to think that this team after last year should have taken another step in the progression, right? See, that's what I thought. We, opened the door last year. But, to me, it's almost like the player. And I'm talking selfishly here. I have X amount of seasons where I can do this. So anytime we have a season that isn't ultimately successful, I feel like it was a lost opportunity for me personally. So having said that, can understand that there is a way to do this, to do the tear down and the rebuild and whatnot. I don't know that process. I'm not the general manager, and I think that's the case for a lot of us. I don't think we understand how that, it's not like a cookbook where you go, you do this, then you do this, then you do this, and it'll lead to this eventually. There is no cookbook for it. So I think that has some of us struggling with where the Devils are at right now. So, my thing that I keep telling people is, and hopefully this isn't a Pollyanna attitude, but the people that own the Devils also own the Sixers. Okay, you see what that organization and what that group did and have done with the Sixers, and you talk about tearing a team down. Whew, that was ugly for a few years, but now you see what they've done now. And look where they're at now, and look how young they are, the talent, how exciting they are to watch. I know I'm talking NBA. You can get mad at me later, but you see what that organization is capable of doing. So I want to believe, and I do believe, that that's what we're seeing here. And I like the fact that. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say something very controversial here, Kevin, and I don't want to get you in trouble, but this is my opinion about the Sixers. They were so bad. They were so bad, and I want to remind everybody, they were so bad that the league commissioner of the NBA had to step in and bring the Colangelo family to straighten that out. Because there was this whole thing about trust the process, GM, I forgot his name, Sam, whatever. He was supposed to be this analytics genius, and it just completely looked like they were tanking. It took the NBA league commissioner to come in and rip out some of that management and put the right people in to make that all happen. Now, granted, nobody could ever predict, Brian Colangelo and having burner accounts. I didn't even know what a burner account was till that incident happened. But I mean, just for the people that are listening in, I would equate that to Gary Bettman having to go in and rip out the a GM that has never been there before, and putting experienced GM such as like Ray Shero. So we're kind of. You're doing that comparison, and I get it, and I agree to a lot of sense. But at the same time, the Sixers, I mean, that's a very unique situation story. And again, I don't want to get you in trouble, so I don't want you to comment and because
but maybe it's not piece by piece exactly like the Sixers, but that mentality, that way of doing it. I'm not saying, like I said, it's not, you're not building a Lego wall here, right? It's that mentality. I'm hoping that mentality will permeate the Devils and has permeated the Devils and is where we're headed. And I think what you see with some of the young guys is that they are exciting. And if we can build off of that, then we're going to get there sooner than later. And I have to, and believe me, I don't drink the Kool-Aid. I can think on my own. But with what's going on, I like the direction and the way they're doing things. I like the fact that they're not overpaying players just to overpay them, just to get a few more wins. Really curious to see what they do with Taylor Hall. Excuse me. Told you I was struggling with my voice. But I'm curious to see the direction that goes. And for those of you who lived through the Zach Parise saga in 2011, 2012, I don't want to live that again. So, and I believe what we have in this number 9 is a lot of what we had with the old number 9. The guy who's the face of the franchise, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, Kevin, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming on with us again. It's always an absolute honor and a pleasure. One of the things that, and we've said this before, one of the things that we absolutely love about you is, you wear your passion on your sleeve. You're a Devils fan, and you get to announce the games. And if anybody wants to go back and listen to the first interview that we had, I think one of the coolest moments that you said was that surreal moment of being able to call an NHL game and to be announcing an NHL game. I think it's pretty awesome. Now, with all that being said, is there anybody in particular that you would love to see the Devils draft if they were given that number one position so you could be able to call his name next year? Do you have anybody like Jack Hughes or?
Well, here's the deal with that. When it comes to drafting players and who's available, I have no clue. I don't follow any of that. I really don't. I've heard the name Jack Hughes, and that's it. I know there's another player they were talking about. I don't follow any of that because I don't know why, but I really don't. So to answer your question, I hope they get to draft the best available player, and there should be. You see, I don't even know if this is a good draft or not. You guys said it was a good draft. I'm going to take your word for that. So we should be able to get a decent player with where we're at, and hopefully, the lottery goes well for us, and we can, move down a little bit and get an even better player. But I tell you what, to me, drafts are. I don't want to say a crapshoot, but you really don't. It's hard to predict. What's that?
I said, yeah, they kind of are. Sometimes you draft somebody and you're like, this guy's going to be the answer, and he never is.
Right. It's really hard to, a kid's 18 years old. How do you project where he's going to be in 5 years? That's why when the whole thing last year or 2 years ago, with Hischier and Patrick, like Hischier started out really well, and everybody's like, oh, we stole him, we did this, we did. Wait a minute, people. Just calm down. You talk to me in 4 or 5 years. And then you know what kind of professional hockey player you have. That's why, to me, NHL drafts, I don't really follow or get into that much because you get who you get, and then hopefully you did the right job. And 4 or 5 years down the road, you're like, we got the right guy. Yeah. It's that much of a excuse me, of a crapshoot, and hopefully your scouting department is strong enough to be able to have a crystal ball and see that far into the future. So I hope that answers your question. I don't mean to poo-poo draft nicks and all that, but yeah, not my forte.
No, it's all good. But honestly, Kevin, like I said, thank you so much for coming on today and for joining us. And good luck with the last couple games left of the season. And I think you said last time I had you on that this is going to be your first year where you're not going to be doing baseball during summer. So before we let you go, do you have any big summer plans?
No, my big summer plan is to not have big summer plans. Yeah, it's been 20 years of baseball, and I just want to be able to be in my backyard. I have a really nice backyard, a nice deck. Finally got the backyard where I want it. Can have my occasional cigar and just sit back there and relax. And I have my 13-year-old son, Sean, and him and I are going to do stuff. And he's very involved with the Boy Scouts, so we're going to do stuff with that, and just be a dad. The summer of dad. Cool.
That's awesome.
But I will say this real quick. I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate you guys having me on. I love the passion of our fans. I've said this before, and I've said it on on the podcast. We have very intelligent fans, and very it's a core, and I really like that. And you go to other buildings, and you see the core of our fans who know hockey. Our fans know hockey, and I like that. And they don't take the BS. Don't BS a Devils fan. Don't try to. And I think that stems from the team being so successful. Let's win. The bottom line is, as a Devils fan, you want your team to win, and you expect your team to win, and that's the way it should be.
Like Al Davis used to say, just win, baby.
There you go. All right.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Have a great summer, and let's enjoy these last few.
There you go.
Take care, guys.
All right. So that was Kevin Clark, the PA announcer of the New Jersey Devils, and honestly, one of my favorite human beings in the entire world. He's such a just a nice guy and someone easy to talk to. And you know what? It's cool to get his opinion and get his kind of perspective about what it's like to kind of go through a season like this. But I was kind of shocked. I'm not going to lie. When he answered the question, which is harder, going through a season like this or having that abrupt end like he had in 2009 when Carolina came back in Game 7 with 1:40 left and tied the game and won the game. Which, oh man, I remember talking to my friend on the phone that day. We're like talking about the Capitals because that's who we would have played in the next round. And I'm like, God, man, Ovechkin and blah, blah, blah. And we're talking about the possibilities of what would it be in this. And then it was just, as I'm on the phone, it just like poof, exploded.
I'll tell you what was tough. 94 against the Rangers, Game 7.
Listen, I don't talk about that.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, that was, dude. That one hurt. That one still hurts every time they play that. There's a commercial that they play when they're like getting ready for the playoffs, and they're that Mato. Every time I hear it, it does something physical to my body. Do you know what I mean? It's like it hurts deep down inside. It's the worst.
To be honest, I'm probably a Homer fan, but I really don't see the big deal of having to play that clip over and over and over and over and over again. It's at a nauseating
because it's the
level.
Only thing they can hold on to. All right, they have celebrations about it still. They've retired 3/4 of that team's number. Do you know what I mean? A guy signed as a free agent that year, and they retired his number. So it just shows you.
Eric Selden, right? As a Dev fan, you never bring that up.
Yeah.
Come on. You could bring that up. It happened such a long time ago. Nobody really remembers the pain.
New York. Hey, listen, all I know is in all honesty, whatever happens in the next 6 games, whatever happens between now and April 9th or whenever it is, I mean, listen, we could finish dead last. We could lose all these games, and the teams around us that are below us could win all of their games, and we still end up picking 4th or 5th. You know what I mean? Because of the way or 4th, because I think that's as far as you could drop if you're number 1 overall. It happened to Colorado. It happened to Colorado a couple years ago. I mean, they're finally getting their comeuppance because, Ottawa's taking a giant dump on their season. Man, how bad! And by the way, anytime you feel bad as a Devils fan about what's going on this season, thank God you're not an Ottawa Senators fan. Just look at that disaster, that garbage fire, that horrendous, just pile of dump. If you ever want to see what the Ottawa Senators look like, just fast forward in the movie Jurassic Park when he walks up to that giant pile of crap. It's horrible. I can't say the things I really want to say, but their GM, their owner, that whole situation is just a joke. Their owner is a joke. Just and imagine being an Oilers fan. At least you have we were really cool at one point. We had Wayne Gretzky. We do have Connor McDavid to watch. We can watch Connor McDavid skate around the ice and do cool things. We got Adam Larson. But seriously though, think about it. As bad as it is for us, and this season is a complete disappointment. There's no which way around it. Last year was so exciting. When we were at this point last year, we were like, oh man, we got to hold off the Panthers. And, it looks like we're going to get Tampa Bay in the first round, and we're starting to understand who we're going to play. And everything was kind of unfolding. And we're like, yeah, this is great. Taylor Hall. There's no way he's not getting the MVP. Like his season's incredible, and Nico's awesome, and blah blah blah. Kincaid, oh my God, where did he come from? He's playing like a number one. And then you have this year, and it's just like infighting. Trade Corey, trade this guy, trade that guy, cut this, cut that.
Hey, wait a second. Wait a second. I was that guy saying all that.
Yeah, I'm making fun of you right now. No, but seriously, like
okay,
like,
Mikey McLeod.
Hey, you watch it. Yeah, put him on a line that has somebody. And no offense to Curtis Gabriel, because he could probably kill me with one punch. But put him on a different line, and maybe you'll see different results. All right, put him on a line with somebody that can possibly score.
Yeah, you know what? Put Mikey McLeod out there when the other team pulls the goalie.
I love that you're doing. I hate you so bad. I love that you drop that line and you play the music to end the show. Yeah, you know what though? The Blackhawks are still probably gonna be okay. It's really funny when Jonathan Taves got tied up with the referee today. Go watch that clip. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Honestly though, at least we're not the Senators should be the name of the next show.
All right. At least we're not the Senators.
And you have a crappy season, and you can't even draft number one overall because you got to give that to Colorado. Because you pushed all your chips into the middle as the GM. You push all your chips in the middle for Matt Duchene. Garbage.
And they didn't lottery pick that. I'm sorry. They didn't make it lottery. What's that terminology?
Protected.
Yeah, that's
protected pick. I don't know if the NHL does that. I know that like the NBA does that. I don't know if the NHL does that. We have to look into that. But honestly, wow. and this is not a knock against any Senators fan. Like I empathize and sympathize with all the Senator fans. Like I couldn't imagine, dude. Listen, come over, join our side, become Devils fans. We'll just be the Ottawa Devils. You guys can come down. We'll invite you in with open arms because your team's a garbage fire.
We'll have Patrick Lalime night.
Yeah.
For our Ottawa friends.
We have a couple number one picks that I'm sure you're going to screw up. It's terrible. And then your owner is I don't know if he's on. I don't know. I can't say what I want to say. He's the things that the dude says. He like called the reporter Bush League the other day, and it's just like it's terrible. I'm going on a rant about a different team, and I don't care. Like I don't care. They're that bad. It just makes me happy. Like I see that, and I'm like, oh God.
All right. Well, let's end the podcast.
You can lottery protected. Oh, okay. Thanks, David.
Yeah, we had a lot of technical issues today. Internet's bad where you're at. Yeah. Internet's bad where I'm at. Who's your internet provider?
Listen, I don't want them to turn the screws on me, so I'm not going to say. But it might rhyme with bombast.
Oh, it's not. Let me think of the Infinity. Is it close?
No.
Close to Infinity?
No. I don't think. No, I got it. We're not. I don't even know. Maybe we are Xfinity. Who knows?
I wasn't going to name names. However, if they're watching right now, and at Comcast Cares is watching this podcast on Twitter and Periscope, if you sponsor the podcast, you won't hear us complaining at all.
No, just yeah,
exactly.
Never again. You know what's funny is you said that, and then the screen glitched real hard. So I'm there watching.
So, want to thank the fans for listening in, commenting on the most commented Devils podcast in the history of Devils podcasts. We may be doing some pop-up podcasts this week. We'll let you know. Yeah, we may do something Tuesday, but I have to get back. I had to get back to that person about Tuesday doing a live podcast.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, for the people wondering where Shorts Guy is at right now, he's on assignment right now. Totally on
coaching.
assignment. Yeah, he's coaching. Yeah. Well,
hey, we love all of you. Thanks for
Yes.
letting me vent about the the Ottawa Senators.
thanks, Gary. Thanks, Joseph. David.
Yeah. You guys
But,
seriously are the best. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have a show. I'd just be talking to Sam on the phone complaining about the Senators.
And I would have Beer Baron on speaker, and I would be on mute, and I'd probably be doing something else while you rant.
Yeah, making a sandwich.
Yeah.
Just give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes to just complain.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, Devils fans, we'll be back next Sunday, the regular podcast. A couple pop-up podcasts midweek. Till next time, let's go Devils.
Yeah, doses.